Hello, and welcome to the movie universe. I'm your host, Movie Fan. Today, I'll be talking about Battleship. I have been wanting to talk about this movie for a long time because I love this movie so much. So, let's begin. As we all know, this movie was based off of the famous Hasbro board game, Battleship. Now, I know what you're going to say. How could they make this work as a movie? Well, if you add in a few aliens, some pretty awesome special effects, a pretty solid story, and some very clever originality and some real good shoutouts to the game, you got an awesome movie. The story starts off with a group of scientists sending out a signal to a planet that is similar to Earth and may in fact be another Earth with life on it. Obviously, the idea was to communicate with any aliens that might be living there, see if we could form a friendship. But little did they know that who they were talking to was hostile aliens. Possibly aliens that were looking for a new planet because theirs was dying off. Meanwhile, things are pretty normal on Earth. We got a young guy named Hopper who falls in love with this smoking hot girl that he meets in a bar. He does everything he can to impress her, which he does succeed. And in the end, it turns out that she is the Admiral's daughter, and he ends up joining the Navy because his brother felt he needed to shape up. Unfortunately, even though he's in the Navy, he still can't seem to shape up. And as you may have guessed, the Admiral hates his guts. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's the usual father-daughter thing, he hates his soon-to-be son-in-law. And yeah, that's part of it. The other part of it is, he's a screw-up, basically a no-good bum to him. The Admiral, of course, plans to get him kicked out of the Navy, but then the aliens show up. One ship crashes in China, while the other three land off the coast of Hawaii where the satellite dish is. 3 destroyers go in to investigate. One that is captained by his brother, one that he is on, and one that a Japanese captain is in charge of. They investigate, and, the aliens put up a shield, and the rest of the fleet can't get in. And after a little standoff, the fighting begins. Sadly, the brother's ship was destroyed with him on it. The Japanese ship is destroyed too. The only one that's left is the one that our main hero is on, the John Paul Jones. They rescue the Japanese crew, or at least most of them anyway, but sadly his brother's crew, they were all gone because they were littered with bombs, so they had no chance. The aliens make their move on Hawaii by releasing a bunch of drones that I like to call shredders. They use it to destroy the highways and the local marine base, so no one could try to stop them. Because apparently that first ship that crashed was actually their communications ship, or a satellite dish, if you will. So, of course, the only way they could try to communicate with their home planet now would be to use the satellite dish that's sending the signal to their planet. At the same time, somehow the crew of the John Paul Jones gets a hold of an alien, and they try to examine him a little, to which they find that they're actually photophobic. That means they don't like the light. And suspiciously, they almost look human, except they have these sea urchins for beards, because, it was really tough stuff. At the same time, our hero's hot girlfriend is taking a wounded soldier out for a walk to try to get his confidence back. Sadly, he lost both of his legs in Iraq. And while this was happening, it turns out they were just in the right position to try to do what they can to stop them from using that satellite dish. First and most important, they tried to make contact with the John Paul Jones so they could tell them what is going on. Because if they can destroy the satellite, they cannot send for more reinforcements, which would definitely be a very big deal, because if they call in reinforcements, we're hosed. At the same time, the crew of the John Paul Jones are trying to figure out what they can do about these aliens. Fortunately, it turns out that they don't have shields around their ships, and they're not invulnerable to attack. However, the problem is, when the aliens released their shield, it was an electromagnetic pulse which knocked out their radars, so therefore they cannot use their missiles. At the same time, their technology is considerably better. Fortunately, the Japanese captain, who was named Nagata, had a plan to use NOAA data and tsunami buoys to track water displacement. Therefore, whenever they jump into the water or disturb it in any way, they can see them. And when you watch this, it's almost like playing the game Battleship, because it's just got that feel. It's got that exact look even. You got the grid pattern, the red markers. They even say it's a hit when they finally get 2 of the ships. And that was a pretty successful moment because they got 2 of their ships at the same time, but there were 2 more to go. And the problem was the 3rd ship pretty much caught on to them, so he was jumping around at random where they couldn't get a bead on him. So, with the knowledge that they are photophobic, they steer the ship all the way to where the sun's going to rise, and they shoot out the windshield of the alien ship, and they hit it with everything they got. Unfortunately, the mothership launches the shredders and destroys the John Paul Jones. And knowing that they have to destroy that satellite dish before they can send out their signal, they have only one ship left, the USS Missouri. And they get help from the old veterans who know how to run the Missouri. They get her all lined up, and that is quite a memorable moment. You get all these old sailors getting the ship into gear while you're hearing AC/DC's Thunderstruck playing in the background. What a perfect combination. When you see the anchor chain give way, when you see the Missouri get up and running, especially with that beautiful scene where she's coming right around the island. That is a magnificent sight. It's almost enough to bring a tear to your eye. However, the battle isn't over yet because there is still one more ship. They had no idea that that could move, and that was the mothership. And at the last minute, Hopper comes up with a plan. He orders the 16-inch guns to be turned all the way to the starboard side, and then they turn hard left. The aliens figure out what's going on, and they turn their ship just so they can shoot first. And this scene is a real tense moment for me. In fact, when I was in the movie theaters, I was at the edge of my seat, just saying to myself, "Come on, Missouri! Come on, Missouri!" Then out of nowhere, Hopper orders them to drop the anchor. The alien ship fires, and the Missouri just hits the end of the anchor chain, and she swings around where the bombs miss, and they are on the full broadside of the ship. And you got the one old veteran saying, "Let's drop some lead on those mother! Fire!" Then they fired the 16-inch guns. Oh, what a beautiful sight. An absolute beautiful sight, just watching those 16-inch guns go off. Boom, boom, bam, 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 bam. They are just shooting the hell out of that ship. Of course, the alien ship fires back and takes down one of the turrets, but they're still drilling holes into her. They even take down the shield, which in turn takes down the ship because of a chain reaction. And they have one more bullet, which they use to try to take down the satellite dish. Meanwhile, Hopper's girlfriend and her patient grab a jeep, and they use it to take down a lot of the cables connecting to the satellite dish, which buys them a few precious seconds. And our patient here beats the hell out of one of the aliens. The Missouri's ready to fire when they see that the big mothership isn't done yet. She gets ready to launch the shredders to try to do a last-ditch effort to stop them. But of course they know they only have one round left, and the lesser of two evils, they got to destroy that satellite dish. So they fire on it, just as the mothership fires the shredders. Fortunately for the Missouri, the Navy fleet had finally arrived, and they took down the shredders. And they bombed the hell out of what was left of the ship. Every one of the sailors are given commendations for their heroism. And Hopper asks the admiral if he can marry his daughter, to which he jokingly says no. I used the word jokingly because he was really just messing with him. It's truly a great movie. The action is perfect. The special effects are amazing. Taylor Kitsch, who plays Hopper, was really awesome. He really does play that screw-up part perfectly. Even when he shapes up after his brother's death, he still plays that part really well. Brooklyn Decker, there's not much to say about her other than she was smoking hot. Her patient, Mick Kanellis, who beats the hell out of that alien, he's played by a real-life colonel and amputee, Gregory D. Gatson. He is a true hero who fought in Iraq and Afghanistan and served his country well. And he plays this part beautifully, too. Because he really acts like that soldier who just feels like he's got nothing left because he lost both of his legs. And, of course, being a soldier for most of his life, what else is there for him to do? But at the same time, he steps up and he stands up for his country, even though he may have been technically handicapped. But of course, one of the best characters in this show was without a doubt Petty Officer Rakes, who was played by Rihanna. Because she was tough, she was gritty, she was up for kicking ass. Which, ironically, we all made the jokes about whenever she was kicking ass in this movie, that usually she's on the receiving end because Chris Brown used to beat the hell out of her all the time before she finally left him. It's a sad, sick joke that we all made while we were watching the movie, but it's true. And I'll let you in on a little secret that hasn't been talked about very much. You remember the old veterans? They were not actors. They were real. These were the real old veterans, which is really awesome that they actually got them in on this because who could have played that part better? When you put all this together, you got one totally awesome movie. If you ever get the time, check it out. Trust me, you are going to love it. This is Movie Fan, signing off.